Welcome to another episode of the Victory Podcast, driven by Audi. I'm your host, Keely Eure, and welcome back to another episode in our summer interview series. As of recording this, today is USC's Internal Media Day, and I had the chance to sit down with 5 of the Trojans' assistant coaches before fall camp kicks off. Coach Hansen, Coach Henny, Coach Reed, Coach Jones Jr., and Coach Lynn were kind enough to stop by the studio and chat with me today. Now, full disclosure, and follow with me here, I'm recording this intro prior to actually editing all the interviews together, so depending on how long everything looks all together, this is either going to be a very long episode, a singular episode, or broken into 2 parts. And the weird thing about how all this works is that you already know the answer because you're watching the edited version, but all this to say, if this is broken into 2 parts, you'll see the next episode shortly later this week. Like I said last episode as well, if there's anyone in particular you'd like to hear from in this series going forward, please let me know. As always, you can reach out to us via our socials at VictoryPodUSC or myself directly at Keely is my name. Alrighty, without further ado, let's jump into our first interview. I'm so excited to welcome in offensive line coach, Coach Hanson, to the show. Coach, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So it's been an exciting year and a half for you. You have an adorable kid. You moved to offensive line coach. What's it been like for you this past couple months?
Yeah, no, it's been amazing for sure. I mean, becoming a dad for the first time obviously is a huge deal, and then getting back with the offensive line was something that was a goal of mine, the whole time I've been here, and super grateful for the opportunity.
What's the thought process? Like, what goes into your strategy when you get handed a new position room? How do you attack it as far as, like, knowing the traits and characteristics of the guys in your room?
Yeah, I think number one is just getting to know the players at a deeper level. I think that's always the number one thing going into any position room. Offensive line has its own characteristics as well because you're playing with 5 guys at a time on the field, and there has to be a level of chemistry with that. But they also have to trust me. And so I've been a really big believer, and really my whole family is that we need to get invested in their lives. And off the field especially. It's not just about the X's and O's and teaching them how to play ball, but really connecting with them on a personal level where they truly feel like, we're their family. And that's the approach we've always taken, and it's worked well for us.
I've heard from offensive linemen as well that it takes chemistry off the field to work on the field. Sometimes, I think people chalk that up to a cliche, but how much is that true as far as knowing your brothers outside of the field?
Yeah, huge believer in that for sure. And that, we made a really big push when I took the position over, the group over, of, getting with the leaders and saying, hey, man, now I want you guys to start getting together off the field more. We're going to do more things at my house. We're going to go to dinners together. We're going to go just do activities together as a group. And Coach has done a really good job of that as a team as well, but even on a smaller level within our own position group. And, offensive line, there's 45% of the players on the field at that time are our guys,
Yeah.
And so there's a big responsibility for all of us to play well together. Have that chemistry, have that bond, and so really anything we can do off the field to tighten that thing up a little bit, we're going to do.
From your perspective as a coach, how much can you figure out how a guy ticks or how he works off the field when you're not talking football versus on the field when you are talking football? How much can you figure that out off the field?
Yeah, no, there's definitely some correlation there, I think. It's a really interesting thing because, your smartest guys in the actual classroom aren't necessarily always your best football players. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, I'm sure, but you can usually tell, hey, this guy's pretty sharp. He picks things up well. He's a great teammate. You can tell when people are team-oriented people or if they're, a little bit more worried about themselves. And so it's always trying to steer that back towards being that team-oriented person, which that's what we're looking for at USC in general.
You talked about calling on the leaders. Who did you identify as the leaders in that regard?
I think it was pretty quick. You could see that Elijah Page, Killian O'Connor, and Tobias Raymond really had the influence of the guys. And, it's not always about who we appoint as leaders. I've been really fortunate to be around some really good coaches. And one of the things I've learned was there's guys that you appoint as the leaders because they're going to make, all the things tick. But it's really the guys of influence that are really important too. Those are the guys that you may not see as a leader, but all those players see as a leader. And so those guys kind of had all of those characteristics combined in one. So early on, they stepped right up and took over, and they've done a phenomenal job.
I got the pleasure of getting to travel and kind of get to know better Elijah Page at Big Ten Media Day. And I was just struck by, I feel like offensive linemen in general are kind of big teddy bears.
Yep.
You're mean on the field, but you're such gentle giants. But he's just so mature for his age. And I feel like he's just been kind of put in this role where he's on a trajectory that's, he was a first-time starter last year, and
Yep.
now he's kind of one of the leaders in the group. How have you watched him mature over the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been fun. It's always fun to watch the young guys become the old guys, and a lot of times they don't even realize it until you tell them. Kind of like, hey man, you're like the old guard now. It's up to you to kind of take this thing over. This is your group now. And there's a definite sense of that with those three guys that I've been talking about. And, there's a lot of other guys that have great leadership qualities in the group as well. So you can kind of see all the different levels of leadership going on within that. But, yeah, Elijah, man, is such a great kid. I was involved in recruiting him on the front end because I was recruiting Deuce to come here and all that. And so I've known Elijah since he was 16 or 17. So it's been really fun to see him grow into the man that he is.
At the end of spring, Coach Riley had identified Tobias and Justin as the most improved over the course of spring. I'm curious from your perspective what you saw in that regard.
Yeah, I think those two guys have really improved their game, and it's not a surprise. I mean, they both attack things, and they really have since they've gotten here with great intention and purpose. I brought Tobias up in front of the rest of the group just from a walkthrough one day. And it was actually like last week, and I said, hey, man, I want you guys to watch Tobias in this walkthrough because some guys kind of go through the motions. All right, I got my guy covered up. Tobias is working the technique and fundamentals that he's going to work in a full-speed rep, every single rep of the thing. So it's like, of course he's getting better. That's how he does everything, And so it's been fun to watch those guys. And Justin's the same guy, too. I mean, the second that guy stepped on campus, he's been like that.
How helpful is that for you as a coach to not only have guys doing the right thing, but when there's kind of questions as who that starting five is going to be, you have guys who are really taking the onus to take it seriously and rise up to the challenge?
Yeah, I think it's just creating the standard in the group. That's the expectation when you walk in here to USC and you're playing on the offensive line here is, you can give guys good examples of other guys that are in front of them, but I think when you make that the standard of this is what it should be like and this is what this group is going to be like, then you get more guys doing that from when they get in. But, every year it's an open depth chart. There's no starters or returning starters, all that stuff. Like you're the guy that has experience, so you should win that job. But if you get beat out, you get beat out. It's part of the game.
In that regard, how do you approach fall camp when it comes to finding the best five? Because I've always wondered from your perspective, how do you kind of thread the needle as to, having rotation and mixing around and seeing who your best five is, but also giving enough time for that eventual starting five to have that chemistry before game one? How do you thread that needle?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, I think it all starts with kind of a couple of our base core values throughout the year, and that's accountability and player-driven discipline. Like those are a couple of things we've really been pushing with our guys. And so leading into camp, I already kind of have in my mind the guys that I know are really good at those two things. And those are obviously incredibly important just from a work ethic standpoint and accountability and trust. And so you can start to frame it out a little bit. But then really the first probably week and a half or 2 weeks of camp is where you really see, okay, it's starting to come together here. These are the guys that are separating themselves. Sometimes those are closer than others. But I'm a really big believer as well in offensive line play. It's not always about your five most talented guys being on the field together. It's about the chemistry between those five guys and who plays well together too.
Okay.
And so that's like a whole nother level of that. And you have to mix guys around and in different scenarios to see how that all plays out. So there's a lot of different things that, we talk about and kick around in the meeting room in regard to who the best guys are for that given year.
How do you identify that? Is that based on like who's communicating well within each other and play, or is it just you can see it based on play and performance?
Yeah, a lot of it's communication and play. A lot of times those go hand in hand. If you're a bad communicator, you're probably going to struggle, or the guy next to you will struggle. You'll struggle to play well together. So I remember in the spring, things weren't going great on a particular drive offensively when I had some of the younger guys in, and I made the move kind of mid-drive. I said, hey, you go to left guard, you go to center, you go to tackle, and things just kind of calmed down. And so I'm like, okay, was it just that one guy that I moved in there, or was it the moves that I made with the other guys as well?
Interesting.
So you kind of keep notes of those type of things and say, hey, these guys play pretty well together, and you start looking at little pairs of guys together.
As far as like guys who have played in certain positions in past seasons, do you kind of keep that as the guide, or are you not afraid to move a guy if it makes sense for the whole? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I'm not afraid to move a guy. You do have to think about some of the built-in reps that guy's gotten, or the banking all those reps. If he's been a right tackle for 2 years, that's thousands of reps this guy's gotten at that position. And so, to take him and move him to center or something would, you really got to be confident that's the right thing for him and for us. But as guys kind of move further along, I try to cross-train as much as possible. If you're a tackle, I want you to try to play guard or center as well, not only for their NFL development, but for our team as well. If you have a bunch of guys that can move around, that gives you some versatility. When
it comes to Alani Noah, what do you place on him as far as expectations? Like, what does growth look like for a guy like him?
Yeah, Lonnie's, came back, obviously started last year, played a lot the year before as well. Extremely talented player, still growing and learning. He's still a young guy. So, I expect him to come out and compete and have a great year. I mean, that's the expectation for everybody here, but he's definitely a talented player and very gifted physically. And his mental edge and all the things have been growing throughout the last couple of years too. So I'm excited to watch him play.
When it comes to a guy like Trovon Reed, who has the experience, not the experience in Riley's playbook, how do you kind of marriage those two together in a quick tempo?
Yeah, I mean, you cannot replicate real live reps in games.
Sure.
So he's a multi-year starter at multiple places. So kind of talking back about those banked reps, like we know that guy's been in big situations and done it in the moment. And so that's obviously valuable. You definitely need to continue to learn and grow within our system too, to make sure, especially at the center position, to make all the proper calls and make sure you're leading the guys the right way. And so I'm excited for him to have a big camp this year as well.
It's kind of a crazy, line the last couple of years where there's been a new center every single year. Yep. How much does that also impact chemistry, and how quickly do you have to get on the same page with all four other guys? Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, it definitely impacts the continuity, just like any position on offense. If you have a returning left tackle for 3 years, you feel pretty good, But that position in particular makes all the calls. Is kind of the leader of the crew in there for sure. I think that we've been very fortunate. We've had some really good, smart football players that could step in and do it. I think having a guy like Killian coming back is great because his mentality and he's a really sharp guy, and he was, behind Jonah and behind Brett and behind Dede. So I think he's played with all those guys. So within that, you also have a guy like that that's battling for that spot. But, I'm also asking him to teach Trovon Reed that position as well. And so, hopefully there's some carryover there when you get some of those guys teaching your new guys the same things that they taught from, or they learned from the older guys. Now, I'm not sure if you were there for that moment, but how cool was it when Killian received his scholarship? I just love stories like that, so I'm sure that was rewarding for you. Yeah, awesome. Nobody deserves it more than that guy, man. Just a team player, true team guy, and somebody that's worked his tail off since he's been here. Now, in the spring assistant coach media availability, you said, I hold my group to a standard that is probably higher than normal. Where does that come from, and what is that standard? It probably comes from my playing days. I played for Bill Snyder at Kansas State, who was probably the ultimate disciplinarian, maybe too far at times. But, I think about when I walked in that place and when I walked out, I'm a completely different person because of Coach Snyder and because of the staff that I played for there. And so I've been really fortunate to be around really good coaches, obviously Coach Riley being one of those. But I've always carried a lot of the core principles from Coach Snyder in any place that I've been, because you can't beat discipline and accountability when you have elite level talent too. And so we're playing with a lot more talent here than any of the teams I probably ever was on or coached at Kansas State. And so imagine what we can do now. In that regard, it's interesting. It's a mix of new faces with experience and some younger faces who are trying to get more reps and get more comfortable. What are your expectations when you have a mixed group like that? What are you looking at this upcoming season for your group? Standard is the standard. I mean, the expectation is to win. Not just me personally, but
Coach Riley. That's the expectation at USC, and so there's no excuses for having young players or new players. Like, it's my job to get these guys ready to play together, to have great chemistry, to play with what we call trench mentality, right? The mentality and the mental edge to attack things with purpose and intention, and go out and play the game like you're about to get flagged every single time, and then pull back just a little tiny bit and keep playing.
Final question for you. If there was something you wanted USC fans to know about this year's offensive line group, what would you tell them?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably just how hard they've worked and how much they really want it. I know it doesn't always show up on the field. Like last season, I know there was times where we fell short, and that's driven these guys to want to be better. We have a group of guys that care a lot. They want to be great. They want to win for this place, and it means something to them. And so I'd probably just say they've put in the work, they've put in the time, and we're going to continue to do that here in camp.
Amazing. Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time, and good luck this season.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm so excited to be joined by Coach Henny. Coach, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
How's your summer been so far?
It's been awesome. Just happy to get back, so it's been great. Had a lot of family time. Now it's time to get with the guys and get going. So.
Overall, what did you learn from spring camp about your guys?
That we have a very talented group. There was a bunch of guys that made strides in terms of their football IQ. And so now it's just time to put it all together and develop into the unit that we want to become. I
was struck when being at practice just by the size increase in your position room. How much does that change what you're able to do?
It changes a lot. I think, when you have bigger athletic guys, the more of those type of guys that you can have, helps your football team in general. And then it also helps us up front to be able to be multiple in different facets of the game. And so we feel really good about the guys that we have, the body types, and being able to utilize those skill sets and different guys for, different types of the games that we want to play.
And how important is that, especially in the Big Ten? Because I feel like, even from my perspective, I felt like the Big Ten ran a little bit more than I was expecting. How helpful is that just for clogging up the middle?
Yeah, it's big time. I mean, I think the Big Ten is as close as you're going to get to NFL football, which is one of the biggest reasons why, this university was so attractive to me, because I feel like you're playing NFL football in college. And so being able to have that type of personnel amongst your group is very important. And we have that now. We have some really good dudes in terms of just people. And so that makes my job easier. And I'm so happy to be working with these young men.
It seems like the work ethic in your room has stood out to you. I know that you said that you can't make fun of Big Jaw because he's the biggest guy that's not lazy,
Facts.
I think you said. What do you see from
true.
him in particular?
Oh, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, you cannot call him lazy. Now, none of the guys do everything right. That's why we practice. That's why we're paid to do our job as coaches. And, but what you do know is that you have very, very talented big men that are athletic, that are powerful. It's just a matter of putting it all together from an above-the-neck standpoint and being able to play together as a unit so that all of that can come to life. And that's what we want.
I know you're probably tired about getting asked about Jakeem Stewart,
right.
But it seems like by all accounts, people are, impressed with his work ethic for
right.
someone as highly rated as he is.
Facts.
But the fact that he is physically ready for college football, but maybe
right.
just has to get there mentally.
Right.
What have you seen from him on the whole?
Well, that's what you love about Jakeem. That's why, we were so high on this kid. We know the talent that he has and the mental makeup that he has. And so that was very impressive, even studying him in high school. Mm-hmm. And so being able to get a guy that has that kind of football IQ prior to coming here, obviously there's going to be some growing pains and some things that he's going to learn just because of the inexperience of the game, and I think as much as we can speed him up from a football intelligence standpoint, to allow him to play as comfortable as he played in high school, we're going to see a lot from him because he's very, very talented and he can do a lot. And so we're excited about Jakeem.
Was that a full circle moment for you to go back to your high school? I know they kind of remodeled it, but to go back to your high school and recruit him?
Oh, it was awesome. And I love going back to that high school. I love going back to Etna Carr. It's a great school. They're always going to have talented football players, and they're very well coached. And so that's why when you get players from that high school, like a Jakeem, you feel really excited about that.
This is the first time that Coach Lynn will have his scheme at a school for 2 consecutive seasons. Right. In that regard, as a whole, as a staff, what are you expecting for year 2?
Well, that's why we're excited as a staff going into this year, because we have so many guys that are returning, but, they were all guys that experienced a lot last year. They went through the growing pains. We got punched in the mouth a few times, and so to be able to learn from those experiences and watch these guys in spring, just grow mentally has been so exciting. And I'm really, really, happy about where we are at the start of camp, and then looking forward to where we, the strides that we make going into the season.
What's your mindset heading into camp? What questions do you want answered?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important for us, like we've been talking about all year. We just want to, unify as a group where we can, really bring the talent that we have in that room. And as we continue to bring the talent on our team together, right, that's going to be huge for us. And then we understand that comes with great sacrifice. I mean, when you talk about just the sacrifices that the players are going to have to make, the sacrifice that we're making as coaches to, allow these guys to spend the time that we need to be able to spend to continue to grow, and then being able to develop that championship culture that we're striving for, where, you see these guys lead from example, and where the players drive the discipline on the team and as well as our position group. And so being able to see that come to life is going to be huge for us, as well as the mental strides that we're going to continue to try to get these young guys up to speed. And so that's exciting.
2 guys I don't want to be forgotten are Devin Tompkins and Kobe Pepe. No. Devin, you said, has a skyrocket type of year ahead of him. What fuels that belief for you?
Well, because he's so smart, and he's so multiple. He's very skilled, having a basketball background from an athleticism standpoint has really helped him, but he is a really good football player, and he's only gotten better. And so to see Devin, man, I'm so proud of him because of the work that he's put in. Like, he deserves everything that's going to come his way. He's going to be one of the top players in the country. And, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have the best numbers in the country. It just means that he's going to be, when you cut on his tape, he's going to be one of the most versatile, complete, technically sound football players in the country that can do a lot and that can handle a lot mentally. And I'm going to ask him to do a lot more this year than he did, last year. And you saw how, much that we relied on him last year. It's going to only increase so.
Kobe feels like a guy who's kind of an old school guy in the type that he could have transferred if he wanted to, but he loves USC. He wanted to stay. He wanted to get developed. What are you expecting from him in his final year of eligibility? The same thing.
Kobe had a big-time spring for us. When he's available, he is one of the most dependable players on the team. You like that about him. You like the fact that he doesn't complain. He shows up to work every day. He's going to be that grimy, just, physical presence that you want. But he's also great for the room. He's a leader in his own right. The young guys respect him, looks up to him, and he just does things the right way. And you win championships with guys like that, and that's why Kobe's important to us. That's why I love him, and looking forward to a big year from Kobe.
You talked in spring about the importance of pre-snap indicators. How much for your coaching technique, how much does that come before the snap for you? How much you're coaching your guys up?
Everything. That's where I think when you come here and you play ball, you learn the game. And that's what it's about. We want to teach these guys the game. We want these guys to understand how to play fast. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. If you can play fast and you can anticipate what's happening out there because of those pre-snap indicators, then you should be able to have a lot of success because the game is won already. And then now it's just it's honing in on those base fundamentals and techniques to get through the down, and then being able to make the plays from that point on.
You mentioned discipline earlier and talking to some of the players about the differences they've seen with Coach True, with strength and conditioning. Discipline is a word I've heard a lot with them.
No question.
Have you seen a difference? I know you're not in camp yet, but have you seen a difference?
A big-time difference. Like, Coach True is magnificent. I've been fortunate to have worked with him, at Oklahoma State University, where I was a graduate assistant in quality control, and he was like the number 2 guy there, and you saw it then. And you saw the stardom in the sports performance world by Coach True. I mean, he was a guy that turned down NFL, opportunities prior to, I know the previous school that he was at. And so you can tell, like, in that world, he's well respected. And there's a reason why. And I mean, he's changed our team already. The guys can't, rave enough about him. And so just seeing that, feeling that, it feels different. It is different. It's real. It's genuine. That's who Coach True is, and he was the right man for the job, and we got another superstar here.
What specific differences have you picked up on?
Like you spoke about the discipline aspect of it, but like he doesn't shortchange anything, and he doesn't let these guys cheat themselves, but yet his ability to communicate – his ability to communicate in real time with these guys has been critical, but yet he still shows them genuine love and care, and not that it wasn't like that, but it's just different from different people, and he has his own way about him, and that way that he affects the entirety of the program. And so you can appreciate that from afar, just watching that unravel.
And finally for you, Coach, if there's something you wanted USC fans to know about your position group heading into the season, what would you tell them?
We're going to continue to build off where we where we have gotten to last year, the way we finished the season. But we're excited about, going out there this year and dominating, like, at the end of the day. And that's with humbleness and humility. But we're going to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. It's going to be physical. It's going to be fast. And we're going to continue to make strides in the above-the-neck approach to the game. And I'm just excited to see a lot of individual guys, rise in terms of their own individual success by doing it, with the team first in mind. So.
Alrighty, Coach. Always appreciate the time and good luck this
season.
Thank you
very much. Appreciate that.
Alrighty, I'm now joined by Coach Reed. Coach, thanks so much for coming on the show.
For sure. I'm blessed to be here. Blessed to see you again. I'm ready.
Last time we left off, you just had twin boys, I believe. Yes. How is that twin dad life going for you?
It's going great. I'm finally getting a little sleep.
A little bit.
It's perfect. God is perfect. It's right around camp time, so I'm getting a little sleep. So I'm all good. I'm blessed.
How do you do it?
I don't know.
Passion and love for the game and your family?
yes. It's all love, and even on the hard days, it's love, and man, they get me through it.
Now that you've had some time to think about it and you had a summer, what was your first spring like here at USC?
I loved it. I was able to learn from like real legends. Coach Ryan, Coach Lynn, Coach Riley on the offensive side. Like, he's the best offensive mind in football. So, man, just being able to sit back and learn and grow in this profession, it was amazing. Nothing short of amazing, and I'm thrilled to see how much more I'm gonna learn throughout the course of the season.
I'm glad you brought that up because there was a assistant coach media availability at the end of spring, and I was listening to everything you had to say, and the thing that stood out to me was you just sounded like you were such a sponge for coaching. It was like you were a student yourself. Where did that come from, that humble mindset to just kind of be a sponge and know that you want to learn as much as possible?
I was raised by my mom. She taught me to always be grateful. So every opportunity I get, I'm so grateful. I was blessed enough to do some great things in my career, and the whole time I was just grateful to be there, and that's how I worked, and it kept me going. I ended up lasting longer than I should have lasted, and I'm taking that same approach with coaching, the same approach in my marriage, the same approach every day with my guys, my kids, everything. I'm grateful, and if you're a part of my circle, I'm grateful that you're a part of my circle.
In that sense, what was one of the most I don't know if eye-opening is the right word, but what was the most like interesting thing to you that you learned since coming here?
I didn't know how powerful this education was, the education from USC. And I graduated from where I graduated from, and it was real powerful. And when I see how everyone fight, it don't matter where I'm at, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's similar, and it got its own swagger to it, and, man, it's a ring. And ain't nothing like hearing fight on when you know you out there kicking butt. Like, it's a different feeling, man, and just the power that degree holds after you're done playing ball is nothing short of amazing.
For you as a recruiter, how nice is that to have that in your back pocket?
Oh, I use it. I'm out the gate with that, and because it's important.
Yeah.
To the kids, they don't know any better, but to the parents, it's important, and that's the first thing I talk to the parents about, the education here. And some of them ask, well, how you know about the education? Well, I can show you a lot of stats.
Yeah.
And I can show you a lot of people who graduated from here who are very successful. And, man, it's a tool, and you're not lying. It's like some people lie in recruiting.
Yeah.
When you speak on USC, you don't have to lie.
Makes sense. Now, when it came to learning your position room, how do you go about that at the very start of spring before you've seen any reps or anything like that?
So when I first got the job, I did my research, right? And you see your seniors. I thought I was getting J-Rock back. You see your seniors, you see all the guys who leave, and then you start from the youngest, and then you go up, and then you make sure none of the guys leave. They hit the portal. So I did my homework. No one left. As soon as I got the job, I reached out to those guys because I didn't want to start recruiting other guys before I talked to my guys. So I made sure I built a relationship with my guys, and I told them exactly the kind of guys I'm going to recruit. And they got to match what we already have in the room. They got to be a dog. You know how I feel about that. And we built a relationship now that's unbreakable. We're going to fight. We're going to claw. We're going to do whatever we got to do together. And I didn't want it any other way.
Given how long the football season is, how much time you spend together, how important is it to establish those bonds preseason so that when you go through the trials and tribulations, you still have that bond and you can have that coaching connection?
Yeah, championships are won in the offseason. When you build your relationship with your players, when you know who will run through a wall for you and who won't, you still got to build that guy up who won't. And you don't just find that out in fall camp. You find that out in the summer. You find that out in the spring. And right now I have a group of guys that are willing to run through a wall for me, and I will run right with them. Wow. Not behind them. I'm right on side of them. I might even lead the pack because they've been nothing short of amazing. They've been great. They work their butts off. They got good grades. They do everything I ask them to do, and everything Coach Riley asks them to do. So, again, I'm grateful for that because there's a lot of players that don't listen to their coaches sometimes. I'm grateful that mine do, and I'm not gonna take that lightly because I've seen it where it don't go that way. So I'm truly blessed to have a great group of guys, like real.
It stood out to me. You described the fact that you set the standard early in spring camp of what a good rep looks like, and you said that by around practice 7, the guys were correcting each other. That seems kind of rare. Is that, in your experience, rare as well, or is that just something you've come to know with your coaching style?
It is rare. For it to be that early, and no egos in the room, everyone helping everyone when it's a true competition.
Yeah,
that's rare. Even when I was in the NFL, that wasn't going on. So, the one team I did play for, that went on and we won a lot of games. Wow. So that's the approach I'm taking. Like, we're not going to hate on anyone. We're going to always uplift our brother. Whoever down, we picking them up. We only as strong as our weakest link. And I make sure I tell them that every day before the meeting start. We only as strong as our weakest link. So if you see a freshman doing something he's not supposed to do, I shouldn't have to correct him. Right? The older guys, or even another freshman, you should step up. That's your time to lead. Everyone lead in different ways. And I have 8 guys in the corner room, and they all lead 8 different ways. Wow. And it's unique because I get to sit back and watch it sometimes. Sometimes I see the guy messing up, and I'm not going to say nothing. I'm going to see if they say it.
Yeah.
And if they don't say it, I'm going to go back in the meeting, and then I'm going to show them where they could have got better at with their leadership, and it's we always learning and always getting better.
Why do you think it's working so well in that regard? Like, given how rare you just described it as, do you think it's just a great collection of guys, something you've done, a combination of both? Like, what do you think is working so well?
I think it's a combination of both, more so them, because they listen. Again, like, I don't have any knuckleheads in the room. Like, I really have a group of young men that are really trying to be their best self. And when you have that, it's like, shout out to Coach Belk and Coach Lynn and Coach Riley for going to get these guys before I even got here. Yeah. Right? So it's a blessing, and I'm not saying that's not cliche. We're gonna do whatever we gotta do to win, but more so win in life, because these young men are set. Like, they're great young men. When it's time for them to get a real job, once they're done with football, hope it's 20 years from now, they will, if they keep these same principles, same morals, they will be set for life, especially with a USC degree. Yeah. Just the way they carry themselves. So that's powerful to me.
No, that's amazing. And given, you kind of described them raising the bar for each other each day, how nice is that when there is an open competition at both spots that they're challenging each other every day?
I like it. I told them, make it hard for me. I should have gray hair by the end of camp, because it should be so hard to roll two guys out there. Yeah. And they're doing that. Everyone is competing. Everyone is competing. Everyone is trying to give everything they got to USC. And when you got a group of guys like that, it's contagious. It's contagious. That means I could look to my left, my right, and throw any one of them in the game. And no coach would question it, because they seen the work. And when they get to that point and we out there having fun with it, we're going to be scary.
Do you plan on having two set starters by game one, or is this something where you're going to have a rotation? Like, I know this is a loaded question, but what's your strategy heading into season, knowing who your guys are going to be?
I think they got to continue to battle it out. At the end of the day, the cream always rises to the top. And even if you're the cream right below it, like, you're still there. And my goal is to have every one of them ready to play when it comes to game one. And I'm doing everything I can every day, every minute I could get from compliance, I'm taking it, because I want to maximize everything these guys have to offer. I don't want them sitting back 10 years from now saying, man, what if I'd have worked out one more time? What would have happened? What if I'd have caught one more pick? What would have happened? We don't want any what ifs. We want to do it. We want to set goals, and we want to reach them, and we're going to set them high.
We just had Coach Hansen in the room, and I was asking him, how do you thread the needle of finding who, in his case, the best five are, but also making sure that they have enough time to get that chemistry together? When it comes to corner, how do you make sure that if you're starting to have a couple guys rise to the top, that they have enough reps that they're ready to play, versus trying to find out who's best? You know what I mean? Like, the rotation versus getting those starters in as soon as possible.
Fall camp, we here all day. Yeah. So I'm going to see them all day. I'm going to get tired of looking at them. But it's about reps. Like, when it's your time, it's your time. And it's time to show out. And whether you get 50 reps or whether you get 10, when you get 10, if it's a perfect 10, guess what? The next practice, you get 20. So it's the same way in the game. Yeah. All right? So everyone is getting a absolute fair shot. And they see that. They see I'm not just saying it. They actually see it. So everyone is working as hard as they possibly can. Again, I want 8 starters. Yeah. If you ask me, I want 8, because now we're loaded. We're not top heavy. We're not an injury away. No, whoever roll in there could play. And they're going to give USC their best. So that's how I want the room. But we'll continue to see it throughout fall camp.
Given the makeup of the room that you described, how much of that is an added bonus, given how much corner itself is? You have to be mentally tough. You're out there on an island. How nice is it for you as a coach to know that these are guys who seem mentally tough, or at least mature in that regard?
It's a stress reliever, because that position is hard. You gotta be. Some of your screws got to be a little loose to play that position, because you could have a good game and then you give up one pass and you feel like you played terrible. Yeah. So it's I put them through challenges in practice. I put them in situations to where I'm building mental toughness, but they just having fun because they don't even know it, right? I just tell them, hey, DJ, it's 3rd and 3 right now. Game on the line. What you gonna do? We in one-on-ones. So he playing for 3rd and 3 for the game, but he's not knowing that when it really is 3rd and 3 in the game, that little voice of mine gonna click in his head. Yeah. And however he did that one-on-one rep, that's how he's gonna do in the game. If he did good, his confidence gonna boost when it's that time. So just finding ways to strategically reach all 8 of them in 8 different ways every day. Every chance I get is pretty fun.
When it comes to DJ Harvey, what do you have in him as far as a corner?
A dog. He's a I don't even know the word. Like, he shows up to work every day. He's physical. He competes. He got a chip on his shoulder. Like, he's here to prove something, not just to the world, but to himself, that he could be on this level. He could play on this level. So with a guy like that, I never have to question if he's willing to run through a wall for me. And he'll never have to question if I'm willing to run through a wall for him. And that's the same with all of them. And, man, I love my guys. I do. I really do.
You mentioned how DeCarlos Nicholson was so important, just his return. How much has he helped, kind of building that bridge of being a guy who's been here and been in the scheme?
He's the glue in the room. Man, that kid do any and everything I ask him to do. Like, no job is too little, no job is too big for him. Any assignment, any task I give him, he try his best to make sure it's completed. And not just completed, like, he want everything right on it. And I wish I could coach that kid for another 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Like,
he's a kid that, like, and all of them are the same. Like, I love all of them the same. Man, he's a kid that I wish I could get him back for 4 or 5 years. Because we're gonna do some good things this year. His life gonna change. Wow. I wholeheartedly believe that I'm putting on record, like, if he continue to work how he work and be the young man he is, with or without football, he will be super successful. Wow. But we're gonna do it with football first.
What gives you that belief? That's just so much confidence right there. Because
I see the young man every day. Like, I see him grow. I sit back and watch him as a father, and I learn on how he is with Lil D. Oh. Right? I see how he treat Lil D. That make me go home and be super fun with my babies. Like, I'm watching him grow as a man. Whole time he thinking I'm just coaching him as a football player. Wow. So it's just watching him, his daily grind, having Lil D in the workouts, right? Because so he don't have a babysitter at the time. Like, just that stuff will pay off. Like, the good Lord reward. I say the football guys, he reward guys who try to do it right. And that kid try to do it right every chance he get.
I mean, how much does it take to simultaneously be a father and do a workout in the weight room? I can't imagine how difficult that must be.
I can't imagine. I didn't have kids till I was done playing. He had one while he was playing, while he currently playing, and man, he doing a great job. He doing a great job, and everyone love Lil D. That's my dog.
He's so cute. I was a big fan of Max Williams when he was here at USC, so I'm assuming that Marcellus Williams is probably of the same stature. What are you getting with him as well?
Man, another great young man. Another great young man who's willing to run through a wall. He show up every day. He work. I shoot him a text, hey, I watched the film. You need to work on this. I get a video an hour later of him working on it. Wow. Like, he has, like, his expectation for himself is high. And when it's like that, you don't have to motivate him. Like, what buttons to press if you see he not being himself, but you don't have to motivate him. He knows, like, and he shows up. Again, another one shows up every day getting better. Like, from rep 1 to the last rep of spring, he climbed the ladder. And that's really for every one of them in the room. But specifically, since we talking about him, he's one of those guys that his role, he can continue to do what he's doing. His role will continue to increase.
Now, Coach, I have to let you go soon, so I have 2 questions for you. One of them is not related to much, but I'm just very curious. As an Auburn alum, I was teaching my sister about the kick 6 the other day. I believe you were there for that.
I was. That was my junior year.
What was that like to experience that?
Oh, my.
I don't think we have enough time, but.
Yes. I just know the game ended, I want to say around 9:30. I didn't get off the field till like 12:31. Like, it was.
Incredible.
It was crazy. Like, helmet stolen. Like, it was. And we had the SEC championship the following week.
Yeah.
I think I had a new helmet.
Oh, my God.
Like, and I had my good luck mouthpiece that I always wore, my pink mouthpiece from my mom. I don't know where that.
Oh.
And I wasn't about to, even if I got it back, I wasn't going to use it because I don't know what they did with it, right? So it was, and Chris Davis was my roommate.
Oh, my gosh. No
yes,
way.
He was my roommate. It was me, him, and our D lineman, Jeff Whitaker. So it's a crazy story, and I got more stories for you on that. But
I'll have to bring you back in the
yeah,
offseason.
for sure.
Oh, man, you just opened a can of worms with
Yes.
Chris Davis being your roommate.
That's my roommate. That's my boy.
Okay, well, to bring us back finally to one last question, USC related. If there's something you wanted USC fans to know about your position room, I feel like you've covered it pretty well already, but if there's something to get USC fans excited, what would you tell them about this upcoming season?
We have 8 hardworking soldiers, and they're going to fight their guts out for this program. And for everyone who donates to this program, everyone who graduated from this program, everyone who got anything positive to do with this program, we're going to fight for you every single chance we get, and we're going to live with the results. And if we fight how I know we could fight, we are going to love the results.
Amazing. Coach, always appreciate the time. Good luck this season.
For sure. Thank you.
I'm so excited to welcome in our next guest. It's Coach Jones. Coach, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I want to start off by saying that I feel like you haven't gotten as much credit as you deserve. First of all, you came in, it's a quick transition for you last season. You hit the ground running, and I feel like you didn't get as much credit as you probably deserve for Woody Mark's success. So I just want to start off and say congratulations on such a great first year last season.
Well, thank you, but I think that's all Woody. I think that's Woody. I think that's our offensive line, our tight ends, our receivers, our coaches. Obviously, like I said, Woody he's done a great job here for us last season, and I think he's doing a really good job with the Texans right now. So.
I know that we've talked before about, it's still a fire hose of information. You're still getting used to the transition, even though it's been a bit. Overall, how's it been so far?
It's been good. Things have slowed down tremendously this time around.
Good.
It's not my head is not swimming as much right now, so it's been pretty good. So I think I've got adjusted to it a little bit and ready for this 2025 football season.
Heading into fall camp, what's your strategy? What are the biggest questions you have? How do you approach it?
Yeah, one of the biggest things for me is to make sure that we keep the guys healthy throughout the season. So fall camp can be long. It's hot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of repetition going on, a lot of competition going on. So one of the biggest things is just make sure the guys stay fresh, stay healthy as they possibly can. And then just have a daily competition, right? So just make sure those guys are just really engaged in what they're doing and just have fun doing it.
It's funny because I feel like running back is tough in the sense that in practice, you can't fully know what you have unless you're going full speed and full go. But like you said, you want to keep them healthy. How do you thread the needle of having a good evaluation, but also keeping guys healthy?
Well, they just have to go 1% better than the day before. So one of those things that we do, we have a grading sheet that we do. Those guys, they get graded daily. We want to make sure that we are maximizing their reps. So it's fun. It's competition. You want to see who's going to tap out first. But other than that, it's just healthy competition.
What goes into the grading sheet? What's the criteria?
Great question. Funny things such as technique, performance, missing assignments, just alignment. Make sure you're lined up right.
Now, looking at your room, it's interesting. Brian Jackson is still young and relatively new, but in reference to the transfers, he's the old guy in the room. How do you approach this season with him, knowing that he's kind of in this interesting position?
Well, Brian is an old guy. He's a young man trapped in an old man body. So I always joke with him about that. But seriously, Brian is very wise beyond his age. He's very mature. The way he finished the season, the way he finished in the bowl game against Texas A&M just shows who he really is. He's incredibly smart. He's a brilliant young man. So he would be looked upon as a veteran this year, So I told him there's no such thing as being a quote-unquote sophomore for you, my man. So you got to step into this role early, and he has to provide some type of leadership for us this season.
Now, it's interesting. When I first saw him in full pads, I feel like you could mistake him for a linebacker maybe, like just the way he's built. It's such a unique size and shape. What does he provide for you in that regard?
Well, he provides that big physical presence, right? So a lot of people, when you think of the big backs and you think of Big Ten football, you think of a dominant run game, you think of the bigger muscular running backs, and I think Brian fits that mold very well. So he's a smart young man. He's very physical, run behind his pads. He has low center of gravity just to be a big, tall guy. I mean, his parents are really big people too as well. So I think Dad played lineman back in the day for James Madison, and mom is a tall lady as well. So
I can believe it.
he has great genes, so hopefully we can use that this season a bunch.
As far as Eli Sanders, what attracted you to him out of the portal?
Yeah, well, speed, number one, right? So I love fast guys. I love a dynamic guy in the open field, and I think Eli fit that bill. So I actually knew about Eli back in his Iowa State days, right? So it was cool to kind of see this thing come around full circle. So we're happy to have him. We're happy to have his playmaking ability, and we can't wait for the fall.
Same question with Wayman Jordan. What did you see from him?
Yeah, he's just an all-around complete back. So I've been really blessed in my career to coach some really good backs. I've got 9 now in the NFL, and Wayman kind of fits the mold of those guys a lot, So he's an all-around running back. He can catch the ball well. Obviously, he can run between the tackles. He has great vision and long speed. So I'm excited to see him as well this fall camp.
Now, I don't know if they were just trying to be humble, but when talking to all 3 guys in spring, they kind of shied away from their pass catching ability. They were like, it's not really a main skill of mine. What's your evaluation about how they are as pass catchers? Because I know that's so important in Coach Riley's offense.
Yeah, pretty good. We that's one of the things that we really take great pride in. So we really catch tennis balls a lot. So that's kind of the secret sauce to it, having those guys catching tennis ball, because it's so unnatural for backs sometimes to be natural ball catchers. So we have to train for that. We have to prepare for that, and that's one of the ways that we're able to do that. So far, so good. They haven't had too many critical drops.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, as far as, making sure those 2 guys especially are familiar with the playbook, how much of that is them doing it in their own time, and how much of that is you making sure that everything's running smoothly?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Okay. I think the great players, they have to study on their own. I really do believe that. Football is not 24 hours, 7 days a week, but you do have to put the time and effort into it. And both Eli and Wayman have done a phenomenal job of doing just that. They're both naturally smart young men anyway. So learning the playbook wasn't as tough for those guys as it is for maybe a new freshman, because they've had some experience of college football. But like I said earlier, they are smart. They are great focus. They love taking notes, and both of those guys love to ask questions. So that's what you like as a coach, is for your players to ask questions back and forth.
It's funny because I feel like a common misconception from football fans looking from the outside in is, well, why would a running back want to come to a Lincoln Riley offense? It's so air raid heavy. But I know from the inside that's not the case necessarily. Look at Woody Marks and what he was able to do last year. But you're smarter than I am and know more than I am. Why would you say this is a great place for backs to come?
Well, number one is just the offense in general, right? Just the offense and what this offense is. And obviously Coach Riley has had success over the years. And when you look at the running back position, it is one of the few positions on the football field that can possibly impact the game. When you have a great running game, you're more than likely to win the football game. And Coach Riley has shown that throughout his tenure as a play caller, right? Whether it's been in his Oklahoma days or even going back to East Carolina, right? He's always had a number of good running backs. And number one is USC, right? So this is like running back US, they would say. So you think about guys like Reggie Bush and Marcus Allen and those guys, and you got to think of the Lindale Whites and the Ronald Jones as of late, right? So this is an offense that's meant for playmakers. It's an offense that's really meant for the running backs as well. So we have different creative ways that we're going to utilize the backs, and obviously anybody want to love to play here at USC and be a part of the Big Ten Conference.
When it comes to your philosophy in terms of playing time with running backs, is it based on personnel, like season to season, or are you a guy who's like, I want one main back, he's going to get the full load of the carries, or is it situational? Where do you lie in that regard?
Yeah, well, you like to play more than one back for sure, right? And in this day and age of college football, It's a very long season.
Yeah.
You think about 12 games, you think about the Big Ten championships, and hopefully think about the playoffs, right? You can play up to 13, 14, 15, 16 games, and that's a lot for a one back to do. So I've always been a running back by committee guy. If you follow my career back at the University of Memphis or even when I was at TCU, we like to play multiple guys to keep guys fresh. And these guys, they work extremely hard. So I have no problem with playing as many guys as we possibly can, because all of those guys bring a different dynamic to the game, right? So Eli's a speed guy, Brian is a power guy, Wayman is a jack of all trades. We have some other younger guys that can kind of do it all as well. So it's a good mix. It's a good mixture of backs and skill sets. So we're just excited to use as who we can use.
Now, on the show, we pride ourselves on trying to have informed, smart college football fans. So in that regard, what's something about running backs or anything in regards to your coaching position that the average football fan wouldn't know, that should know if they love the game?
That's a great question. You have to know every position on the field. You really do. A lot of people just think running backs just stuck in the backfield.
Yeah.
But you can see us on any given play. We can be in the slot receiver position. So you have to know what the slot receivers do. We can be on the outside as an outside receiver position. So we have to know what Jacoby Lane is doing at his position. We can also kind of quote unquote be a tight end if you play in the two-back set, right?
Yeah,
so we actually have to know that. And of course, you have to know the blocking schemes for the offensive line. And the way I teach it is pretty unique, is that I teach it from the quarterback's point of view, right? So when you come in our meeting room, very rarely do we just talk about running back, straight running back play. I always teach it from the bird's eye view of the quarterback, because I want those guys to know what he's looking at, where his high protection is, and how he reads the field, so it can come second nature to those guys as well. Awesome. So a running back, you have to know pretty much every position on the offensive side of the ball and have an awareness of what's going on defense as well.
Yeah, that whole part, the defense.
Yeah, the defense part too.
I'm sure, have you found that it helps, if you learn from the quarterback's perspective, it helps that maybe communication error that could happen on the field between both running back and quarterback?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to be in sync with him. Number one, our first job is to protect the football and then to protect the quarterback. So if you know where his weaknesses are or where he's vulnerable at from a protection standpoint, you're able to kind of overcompensate that by helping him, because you guys on the same page, right? You guys studying the same way. So I think it's very critical that the running back understand what the quarterback is doing and what his reads are.
How do you – I feel like that's so much to take in and to learn as a back. How do you get guys up to that speed? I feel like that has to be a lot mentally for them to comprehend.
Well, one of the good things about my career journey is that I was a high school teacher, right? So I wasn't a very good high school teacher from the teaching aspect. But one thing I learned about being a high school teacher is that you have to break things down in a way that these young men will understand it, right? So we take it step by step. We don't rush through concepts. We don't rush through schemes. And I let those guys teach it back to us, right? So I make them, I'm old school, I make them stand up and put it on the board, and I make them say it and recite it, and now they get a better understanding. They are advantageous note takers, which is one of the things that I recommend in my room at all times. Those guys, and everybody has a certain learning style. So the way we structure practice with the walkthroughs and the pre-meeting practices, and those things all help with the running back learning the whole scope of the offense.
That's fascinating. What did you teach in high school?
So I have a marketing degree, so I taught personal finance and accounting, and I taught a business ethics class.
That's awesome. That's like unique high school classes.
It is, but it was awesome. It wasn't awesome for my students, because I don't know how much they really learned from me teaching. But
that's like tangible skills.
Yeah. So one of my number one lessons in personal finance was don't spend it if you don't have it.
I mean, applicable in this day and age of college football. So
it's the best personal finance lesson I can teach.
That's a great one. Where in your career did you find that learning from the quarterback's perspective was important or valuable?
So back when I was at the University of Memphis, I worked for Mike Norvell, who's the head coach at Florida State now, and I had some really, really good backs my first season. Well, really every season, but really that first season I had 3 NFL backs in a room at one time. Eric Henderson, who actually played for the Rams, Tony Pollard, who's with the Titans now, and Patrick Taylor, who's with San Francisco 49ers. And Tony Pollard was kind of our utility guy, so he had to learn all those positions I was talking about, and he was incredibly smart. So it's always challenging when you have to teach a really, really smart football player. So Tony made me actually study more because of how smart and how detailed he was. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to give him everything I could from a teaching standpoint. So that's where I came in with the concept of teaching it from the quarterback's point of view. And all the other backs, they loved it, right? So I've been blessed over my career not only have really good football players, but really smart guys as well.
Wow. And it makes it difficult because that a smart player knows so much that you have to make sure that you know even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just imagine coaching Tom Brady, right? Like, imagine who that
No,
OC was, right? So
that makes a lot of sense. As far as just this upcoming season, what makes you excited for this upcoming year?
everything. I mean, it's great to have the guys back on campus. It's great to be around the coaches again. It's great to feel the energy in the air around the area. You know, we have a great schedule ahead of us. So I'm excited to see the work that's been laid throughout the summer and the spring months, you know. So it's been fun getting it to this point. So now in a couple of days we get a chance to step on the field and put it all together again.
Something that the players have talked about is just the impact that Coach True has made. And I know you haven't seen it necessarily on the field, but for you, do you work specifically with the strength and conditioning coach to make sure that, you know, there's not too much weight added so you affect speed? Like, how does that work in terms of?
I actually kind of stay out the way.
Okay.
I trust those guys.
Yeah.
Right? Those guys are a lot more knowledgeable than that area than I am. I just tell them I want them as big as they can possibly get it, and I want them as fast as they can possibly get it. And I kind of just step out the way a little bit. But Coach True and his staff has done a remarkable job. You can see it not only in the running backs but the entire team. The bodies are great. I wish my body looked like that most of the times, you know, but I don't want to put the work in that they do. But it's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal having him around. It's been phenomenal just hearing his voice and his method and plan for going about training the guys and having the guys healthy as well.
And finally, Coach, if there was something you wanted USC fans to know about your room in general or just this upcoming season, what would you say? They're
funny. They really are. They are a great group. All of them are kind of young, except Eli. Eli's kind of the old man in the room, but I got a bunch of freshmen and sophomores, and Wayman is just a true junior, right, coming from the junior college rate. But they are awesome kids. I think they are better people than they are football players, and I think that's what I want our fans to know is that they're great students. They really put the student in front of student athlete. They come from great households and families, and I think they're gonna make USC fan base really proud this season.
That's amazing. Well, Coach, I appreciate the time and good luck this season.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I'm so excited to welcome back to the show defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn. Coach, we're at the start of year 2 in your defense here at USC. What's your mindset heading into the season?
Mindset is just growth. You know, we're excited that it's not everyone, but a big majority of the team's second year in this game, and just excited just to see their growth going from year 1 to year 2.
It's interesting because you haven't had 2 consecutive years at one program in your scheme in college. Mm-hmm. How do you set the markers for growth when you don't necessarily know what that could look like? Because the ceiling could be whatever given your scheme. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're just trying to get better every single day than we were the day before, whether that's scheme, whether that's communication, whether that's terminology, whether that's us as a staff putting players in the right position. And we just know if we just keep on taking those steps in the right direction every single year, we're going to continue to grow and get better. What
was it like this spring having Coach Reed and Coach Ryan added to the staff?
It was awesome, man, just in their experience. And Coach Reed's played the position. He's very intense on the field. And then I've got a chance to coach with Rob, just getting a chance to pick his brain and then help him get acclimated into college has been awesome.
What's it like being with the Rob Ryan? I know you've known him for a while now, but to have him on your staff, I'm sure that must be exciting.
It's awesome. You know, he shows up, he's the exact same every single day. He has the most energy on the staff. He's obsessed with ball. He's obsessed with teaching the kids. He did a great job on the road recruiting. Oh, yeah. So we're excited to have him on staff.
Overall, what did you think of spring camp and where you guys were at that point?
I feel like we took a big stride in spring. You know, there's a lot of guys that are returning, but we have a lot of guys who are new. Yeah. So I feel like just having so many guys, with it being their second year in the scheme, you saw the new guys pick it up a little bit and quicker. As far as areas we need to improve, still things like communication, making sure we're all on the same page. That's something that can always improve. And just trusting that the guy next to you is going to do his job.
It was funny because going to the first couple of practices, every time I went out there visually, I was like, up front, it is just, there's just so much more size. I'm sure that must be so exciting for you as a defensive coordinator with what you can do with that size.
Yes, definitely. We're definitely going to miss, Nate and Gavin, but we felt like the guys that were behind them, they took a big stride in spring, and then we feel good about the depth behind them. But as a group, we just feel like, we're bigger, we're stronger, and we have more guys that we can play in a game right now.
Yeah, I think at the end of spring you said something to the effect of you feel like you can use guys in more ways or use more fronts than maybe you hadn't in the past. What does that allow you to do with that size?
It allows us to do a lot. It allows us to be more creative. The biggest thing it does, it allows us to stay fresh. We felt like we did a good job putting together a Big Ten front seven this past year, but we didn't have Big Ten depth. And you need depth to last over the course of every single week in the Big Ten, and we feel like we have that now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you the biggest takeaways from playing in the Big Ten for the first season. Depth, obviously. Yes. What else did you really hone in on after that first season?
It's very similar to the NFL, aside from the field and, the things like unbalance and tempo. But as far as just the style of play, it's very similar to the NFL. Every team in the Big Ten has the ability to run the ball. They could all control the line of scrimmage. They all have big offensive lines, big tight ends, and you have to win up front.
Yeah. You mentioned depth. How do you feel about inside linebacker depth right now in that regard?
We have a lot of inexperience in that room, so we have depth as far as bodies, but we don't have a lot of guys who have played. But all those guys got a ton of reps in the spring, so we're excited to see what they do in the fall.
You mentioned how it seemed like Eric Gentry just had a different mindset this past spring. What did you see from him in particular?
I think him just being the only returning starter in that room, he just feels extra ownership or leadership in the scheme. And you saw him kind of take that next step, being a vocal leader. You saw him communicating a lot more. And then, just with this being his second year in the scheme, we were able to put more on his plate.
Now, we weren't able to watch spring camp, but from what I gathered, it sounded like there was a lot of mixing and matching as far as trying guys out in the secondary, versatility, especially at nickel. What was the thought process behind that, and where are you at in that process, in the mixing and matching of sorts?
We always say we want to play with our best DBs on the field. So if we're in base, we want our best 4 DBs on the field. When we get in sub, we want our best 5 or 6 DBs on the field. So we've been trying to give everyone a fair shot to play nickel, to play safety, to play dime, to play corner, to really see, who are those best 4, who are those best 5, who are those best 6. And we're going to continue to do that all through camp until we feel like we have our 4, 5, and 6.
Has anyone surprised you in that regard when you put them out in a different position? You're like, oh, we didn't actually fully know that this could happen.
I think some of the young freshmen, and I think the fact that there's so many players on the team, that this is their second season in the scheme, so they've been able to help. But I was just impressed with some of the incoming kids that were still supposed to be in high school. They picked up the scheme quicker than the guys did this in past year. Wow. And there's a handful of them that we were able to start playing in different spots.
How come you think it was faster this time around for those younger guys?
I think last year having Kamari helped with the DBs because he was talking to them all the time.
Yeah.
Now you have Kamari, you have CP, you have Prophet, you have D-Nick, you have Dez, you have Jaden. There's just more guys. Yeah. So the conversations, they leak into the locker room. They leak into their apartments when they go home. Yeah. They're just always talking about ball, so I feel like that's helped everybody.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I feel like in your evaluation of guys, you're pretty measured. You don't just hand out praise when, just to do it. And I feel like for Jakeem Stewart, that's someone that you're pretty high on coming out of spring. What did you just see in general from him?
He was one of those freshmen that I was just impressed with, how fast he picked everything up, how mature he is for his age, and just his play strength. That's something that I didn't know, how long would it take him to get acclimated to playing defensive line in college. Yeah. And all that just kind of took me by surprise. So he took a big step this spring, and he had a great offseason in June. So we're just excited to see how he keeps on improving in camp.
Did that kind of speed up the timeline in your head that you might have had for him?
I don't like putting expectations on guys. Sure. And, and fall camp is when we're really going to pile on the installs. But if he can handle it the way he did in spring, absolutely.
I know your method has been a slow and methodical install. Is that still the same in year 2?
It is. I think, this past spring we still installed slow. In camp in the fall, we try to make guys a little bit uncomfortable, so we'll speed it up some, and we'll see exactly who can handle what.
For you, and I know we talked about this a lot, so I apologize, but in year 2, do you feel like maybe opposing offenses might have a better sense of what your defense is now that this will be like somewhat the same personnel heading into year 2? Or is the beauty of your scheme, you never know who's coming from where?
You always have to evolve. They're going to be studying everything on tape. So, we did a self-scout of us. What did we do well? How can we protect that? What did we not do well? How can we improve in that? There are some things that we've taken out. There's some things that we've added. So I feel like each year, depending on the personnel that we have, the scheme's going to change quite a bit.
For you heading into fall camp, what are some questions that you want answered from your defense?
Just, who are the leaders going to be on defense? Who's going to be the person to take charge on the field when we aren't on the field, and just really, we're looking for peer-to-peer accountability. Like, who's going to be the one to hold the other guys accountable without it having to be us?
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I heard from some of the players that it feels like with Coach True over the summer, he's kind of implemented a new layer of discipline and self-accountability. What have you seen? And I know you don't have as much time with the guys over the summer, but what have you seen from what Coach True has done? Coach
True's done a fantastic job. The guys seem like they're more locked in, focused, and, very detailed with everything. I feel like how you do anything is how you do everything. So the same details that you have when you're with the strength staff should carry over to the field.
I know there's the cliche, like you're always excited about football, but I'm curious, what specifically gets you excited for this upcoming season?
I would say just the game day environments in college. I think the college stadiums are cool, the atmosphere, the student sections, the fans. I just love game day.
Did you expect to like college as much as I think it appears you do?
I was always a big fan, so I knew that I would like the football aspect of it. I didn't think I would like coaching this age range as much. I just absolutely love the kids. They're a blast.
That's amazing. Now, we pride ourselves here on the Victory Podcast of having smart football listeners. If there was something that you wanted listeners to know to make them smarter football fans when watching your defense on Saturdays, what would you tell them? A little tidbit or something?
We try to teach our scheme from a conceptual standpoint, so that way guys kind of learn the defense instead of just learning in their position. And we feel like that helps guys play fast because they know what's going on around them, but it also helps us get our best guys on the field.
Is there anything else you want USC fans to know heading into this season?
No, we're just super excited.
Awesome, Coach. Always appreciate the time, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Big thank you to all the coaches who stopped by for taking the time to chat with me today. If everything goes according to plan, you are likely hearing this on the first day of USC's fall camp, so happy fall camp to all those who celebrate. We're closer to kickoff than you know. It's pretty crazy. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thanks again for watching. We'll see y'all next time.